Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, お腰につけたきびだんご、一つ私にくださいな。What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Phil, and welcome back to another video. And that, my friends, is the song of Momotaro, a well-known folktale across Japan, and is the inspiration for Abataro Sentai Donbrothers. So, I would also like to mention for a little bit Kamen Rider Den-O because the main Imagine featured in the show, Momotaro's, is a reference, to that story. Although that's where the similarities end because Kamen Rider Den-O doesn't really follow the story of Momotaro, but Dawn Brothers heavily does. So we are going to focus on that today, and let's go on with the video. So of course, to start off, we should look at the beginnings of both stories. So in the original story of Momotaro, an old lady was washing her clothes on a river when she suddenly saw a peach floating downstream. So it was a giant peach, and the old lady thought that this would be a good uh, souvenir or a good present for her husband who came home after gathering firewood. So she took the peach, took it home, showed it to her husband, and when they tried to open the giant peach, a baby boy was inside. Now, moving on to Dawn Brothers, what happens is a giant crack opens from the sky, and from it, a peach shaped capsule falls onto a river. So, a man named Jin Momoi was doing his daily jogging and found the peach capsule. When the peach capsule opened, Jin found that a baby boy was inside. He took the boy home and named him Taro. Taro Momoi. Momoi Taro Momotaro. So, what I did notice with the beginning of Dawn Brothers in that regard, and of course, by extension, the origins of Momoi Taro, or Taro Momoi, I guess, if you want to follow the Western way of naming. So, I do sense some heavy similarities with Superman at that point. Not entirely, but there's a bit of Superman reference, I think, or coincidentally, perhaps. So, you see, Taro Momoi, by extension, the original Momotaro, well, both of them are kind of described as Supermen. You heard that right. Now, in the case of Taro, aka Don Momotaro in Don Brothers, now this could be the case because he probably isn't even from the same Earth that at least the humans in the world of Don Brothers are living in. And we do notice this because in the first episode alone, he already demonstrates that he was able to clean an apartment room, albeit off screen, in just a few seconds. And that mess could take at least an hour to clean, if, well, give or take, especially if you're rushing, but possibly even more. And like I said, Taro does this in just a few seconds, maybe 5 or even less. So, uh, there are also versions of the original Momotaro story that kind of depict the young Momotaro as a very capable individual who's, not only strong, but he's also able to do everything, that he becomes a big help to his family and by extension his own community. What is interesting about Taro Momoi from Dawn Brothers is he is depicted actually by Jin himself in episode 4 via flashback while explaining to Haruka, aka Oni's sister. So, in the flashback, we see and Jin explains that even as a child, Taro is able to do things perfectly even in the first try. However, it has come to the point where he criticizes other people's mistakes so harshly and tries to enforce his own ways onto them, making him disliked by the people in their neighborhood. So, Jin and Taro live in an apartment complex, and the people who came to hate Taro actually wanted to drive him away. So, but however, uh, Jin and Taro stayed, and the people, eventually got tired of trying to, drive them away. So instead, they were the ones who left. So, which is an interesting comparison between the two Momotaros. So now let's move on to some of to their companions rather. So let's move on to uh, Oni sister and the other brothers in Don Brothers. So what is interesting about that is, like I mentioned, so there's Oni sister, and ironically, the Oni is the enemy of the original Momotaro. So the Oni is obviously not part of his team. And what is interesting is that the arrangement, or the pattern in which the other brothers of the Don brothers are introduced are actually kind of jumbled compared to how it went in the original story of Momotaro. So what does this mean? So in the original story of Momotaro, when he sets out on his adventure, Momotaro meets the dog first, then the monkey, then the pheasant. So in Dawn Brothers, we meet Kiji brother first. So Oni sister aside, so uh, Kiji brother first, then Inu brother, and lastly Saru brother. So again, the arrangement of these three companions are jumbled in the story of Dawn Brothers, which is interesting. But the inclusion of Oni sister, well, I guess they have to be five members, so they decided to make the Oni a companion and have her be the only girl in the team. How's that for a change? But interesting nonetheless. So let's move on to other references made in the story. Now, uh, if you notice, so there is a kind of onomatopoeia when you listen to the transformations of the Don brothers. So, Don Burako. So, if you notice, it's also referenced in the title of the show, Avataro Sentai Don Brothers. So, the Don Bra in Don Brothers is taken from that onomatopoeia. So, what does that mean? Now, it's actually a reference to that origin story, so or the beginning of the story of Momotaro when the peach flows downstream from the river. So the story goes Don Burako, Don Burako. So that was basically the onomatopoeia used for the peach flowing downstream. Now, another onomatopoeia used is the enyara. So, if you notice Taro's motorcycle or Don Momotaro's motorcycle, it's called the enyaraidon. So, the enyaraidon is another play on the word enyara, which is another onomatopoeia used in the story of Momotaro, which describes exertion of effort. So, what happens in that part? Now, after defeating the Oni in Onigashima, so Momotaro and his companions carried back the stolen treasures of the town where Momotaro was living in. So, when they were carrying those treasures back to town on carts, so it was the sound that they made. Enyara, enyara. So, an exertion of effort or force. Now, another interesting reference actually goes back to the song that I have just sung at the beginning of this video. Yes, the song of Momotaro is actually referenced, and you will notice it being sampled in the transformation, and you will also hear Momotaro-zan, Momotaro-zan when Don Momotaro performs his finisher attack. So, there's also another interesting reference to the story of Momotaro, which is kind of evident in the general plot of Dawn Brothers. Now, there are certain versions that kind of mention this, and in some versions of the story of Momotaro, Momotaro actually explains to his adoptive parents that he was sent by the gods to bring them happiness. And, well, in a way, he kind of fulfills it, especially, uh, uh, by becoming, like I've said, a big help to his family and his community, and of course, by defeating the Oni, bringing happiness back to everyone. So, if we look at the story, or at least some of the backgrounds of the other members of the Don Brothers team, so they have experienced some kind of misfortunes, but uh, me, especially Haruka, and she was specifically instructed by Jin to look for Taro and swear loyalty to him so that he can help her take back what she lost and bring back happiness in her life. So uh, another interesting thing about that is in the opening theme song, so there is a line that is basically translated to like take away the sadness, so which is interesting. So I probably shouldn't sing that part of the Don Brothers theme song here for copyright, but the song of Momotaro is for within the open realm, or how do you say, like, oh, free domain. So there's no real copyright for that, so we're in the clear with that one. However, yeah, that is an interesting thing to consider regarding Taro and his, somewhat superhuman abilities. Well, he is able to do everything. I think one of his superpowers is, at least if done right, is that he's able to bring happiness to everyone. So, it's going to be interesting how Don Brothers is going to, uh, develop by following the story of the original Momotaro. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and there's actually going to be a part 2 where we actually talk about, well, something that you probably didn't know. So, did you guys know that the story of Momotaro is actually inspired by a real person? And therefore, the story of Abataro Sentai Don Brothers is also related to that person. And yes, it kind of has historical records. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, and turn on those notifications so you get the latest from JEFusion, and you'll be able to see that video when it's ready. So again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, please do leave a like, comment, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!